side and Elite 8 on the red side. So as you mentioned, or rather as I mentioned earlier on, we saw a lot of emphasis on that Saw, Reza, Chan Walker coming through from Impunity. And as for RNG, we saw a Saw and Reza as well. And Chingy played spectacular on that Reza, just able to put pressure in the early game, going up against that of Brand Esports. But coming through from the first phase of bans, we have the Lyra. Lyra is one of those, captains that has been prioritized, and a lot of emphasis has been given to her during the first phase of bans because of how strong she is. And now from the side of Elite 8, Arden will be taken out.
Yeah, so first pick for Renegades, they've got a lot of options. They could try and go for Chomok themselves. I don't think Elite 8 played it that much yesterday, so it won't be a contested pick. Blackfeather will be picked up. Really strong, nice, flexible pick as well. Even though on A side you have to give away what your composition is, Blackfeather will work well. Be able to dive into any kind of backline that Elite 8 have. So what Elite 8 needs to do here, they need to pick up something like a Rona, something that is tanky, that cannot be dived by Blackfeather. Then they'll be in a good position. So if they pick up a Vox or a Kestrel or anything like that, Blackfeather excels against those kind of heroes. They need to not pick a hyper carry comp or any really backline carry.
Yep, and I personally think that Rona does very well against a Blackfeather. Like I mentioned yesterday as well, the early game burst for Rona is just immense. Although Rona generally needs the Serpent's Mask into breaking point to just put out the fullest potential in terms of damage for herself, whereas for Blackfeather you can kind of just have a salvo and then of course a Serpent's Mask, and you can put out quite an equal amount of damage because of your Feint of Hearts. But coming through from the second pickup for the side of Elite 8, we will be seeing a Baptiste, hopefully, and I cross my fingers, it will not be that utility Baptiste that we see so often from yesterday's match. And now coming through again, second phase of bans, we have that Grace.
Yeah, I'm surprised Baptiste has been picked up. Catherine obviously banned away, so they don't get the combination of Cath Baptiste. It's counterable, definitely, but it's very hard, and you don't really want to be going against it if you can at all help it. So the Baptiste first pick is interesting because maybe they want flexibility over going for Catherine, who has better CC in general. And Scarf as well is not a hero we've seen an awful lot of. Blackfeather does well against Scarf because Scarf hasn't got much disengage. Blackfeather has an awful lot of engage. So I would expect Renegades maybe to round the comp out with a Lance, try and dive in on that Scarf, really lock her down with a Blackfeather, maybe a jungle Alpha or Reza, and just go all out dive. As long as you block Baptiste CC, you should really be fine. There aren't that many captains left that provide too much CC with Arden being banned away and Catherine.
Yep, I personally think Alpha, if not, then Reza worked very well against the Scarf. Scarf needs time to ramp up, unless, no matter we've seen a shift as well. We saw, the phasing out of mages, and then we saw, Scarf, when placed in lane going up against a Blackfeather, can easily just poke a Blackfeather out. If not, then, if Scarf is placed in the jungle, it will be a very, very rough time going in against this Baptiste that we saw Chingy played yesterday and was just able to put so much pressure. The jungle couldn't farm at all. So let's just see what they will pick up for the side of RNG. I'm not surprised if they will just go for that Lance like you mentioned, just to dive the back lines. If not, then Finn. Finn is quite a suitable pick here just to provide the fortified health. And just pull Scarf, if not then Baptiste, if not then the carry of Elite 8 to just fight near them, which Blackfeather really wants to do anyways.
Yeah, Blackfeather and Reza have been picked up, and the Lance, as I said. Renegades took their time to pick exactly what I told them, but they're going to go for that as the final pick. Makes loads of sense. Their comp has great synergy. They're probably thinking, what other captain might we want? Maybe a Roam Glaive. Let's see what we're thinking. But no, in the end, going for that Lance. Finn could have worked, but then if the Forced Cord just gets blocked, Scarf will be able to stay at range. Finn has no follow-up alongside Blackfeather and Reza. Because Blackfeather and Reza have so much dive, so much mobility, that they need someone like a Lance with 2 movement abilities to really keep up with them. So I really like what Renegade's draft is. I'm a bit confused by what Elite have gone for. They've gone for the Rona to counter Blackfeather. Makes a lot of sense. It's good against Reza as well. But then they have a Scarf on the back line as opposed to something like an Alpha who's much tankier, or an Ozo who could have worked really well. But they've decided to go for backline carry almost. So Rona's just going to be ignored. The start of the team fight is going to be Scarf at the back line, Rona jumping in, Blackfeather and Reza jumping away from Rona and just diving on Scarf, blocking Batiste CC. And I think Renegades should have this game if they play it right.
Yep. Renegades have got the early game versus the Scarf, although in the lane, the side of RNG might suffer with that Blackfeather pickup going up against the Rona. But Blackfeather, like I mentioned earlier on, really cheap in his item build, really just need its Serpent's Mask for the extra sustain, a 10% life steal, and just can sustain in lane going up against this Rona. But we can't quite forget that Rona wants to dive into the backline, whereas Blackfeather and Reza, as you mentioned, just want to dive in as well. So Rona will be in the thick of fights in general, trying her bestest to just soft peel for Scarf using the red mist and just hopefully try to zone Blackfeather and Reza out. But the amount of burst coming through from RNG in the late game, the Feint of Hearts, with that Scorcher into a basic attack will just hurt and will hit like a truck. So it is just down to how Anime Save Me will use this Batiste. Whether or not, Fearsome Shade will be used properly to try to zone or try to push Blackfeather and Reza away at the right time. Because it will be quite difficult, Blackfeather having a Rose Offensive and Netherform Detonator, generally just avoid all CCs to get into the backlines.
Yeah, the real problem with Elite 8's composition is that Scarf wants to be as far away from the fight as possible, and Rona wants to be in the middle. So they either have Rona on top of them, because if you think Blackfeather and Reza are going to dive Scarf, okay, maybe we change our fighting style so that Rona jumps on top of Scarf and just red mists around there to try and get as much damage as she can. Well, if Rona does that, that means Scarf is now in the middle of the fight, standing still so that Rona can get her red mist off. And so you're never going to have Rona and Scarf's win condition executed right unless Renegades allow you to just allow that to happen. If they focus Rona at all while Scarf is alive, then they're letting Elite 8 win the game. So that's all Renegades have to do. Ignore Rona for a bit, focus the Scarf, make it a 3 versus 2, and they should be fine. But we're going to have to wait and see. We are loading into the house room photo. Let us know which team you think is going to take this game. We're on the side of Renegades on the caster's desk, but hey, it could go Elite 8's way for sure if they just make them focus Rona. That's all they have to do. Batiste is going to try and peel as much as he can for that Scarf, and Hunjagers is going to have to try and just carry this game.
Yep, Hunjager will have to try his bestest to carry this game. But we do see Rona, official high on that Rona will be placed in that of the jungle. The only reason I'm making this speculation is because of the energy picked up on Hunjager, and official high generally is the jungler of the side of E8. If that is the case, then Scarf can easily just poke Blackfeather out in the early game and just, basically try to get Blackfeather to back off. So very, very good change up in team comp, or just team composition and where they put their roles in general. But now, it will not be stolen by Rona.
Uni does manage to secure that treant with probably Feint of Heart, and now all members of Renegade rotating up to lane. It does look like it will be a lane Scarf. Anime Save Me going to get impaled. No, he dodges it, but he will be in a bit of trouble. Shingy's going to dive in and he uses boots. Anime Save Me will get away. That is the goop popped by Hunjagers. He's now trying to farm up best he can, getting a bit of poke onto Scarf for that barrier. Dodging those Spitfires out, and Shingy has to port home because he knows Official Hine is waiting for that jungle and will have a much quicker rotation if Shingy doesn't get back to that jungle quite quickly. Now Uni's still farming up, and he actually, one thing that Shingy did do is by waiting, he's now ahead of Official Hine on items. One item ahead, an extra crystal bit compared to Official Hine, and extra boots compared to what Official Hine has got, which is really important on Rona. You need to be able to stick on top of your target. Now Impale does land onto Hunjagers. Uni going to get ordained up, and he's going to get hit by the Spitfire. But Githimor pushes Hunjagers back. He's going to be a bit pressured. Uni standing on the goop, but a lovely on point does try and get a bit of damage. Protect contract picked up for both these captains. Uni rotating down to the jungle. Official Hine's waiting to try and steal this treant away. Lance going to try and spot him out, but will he do it in time? Shingy's going to get that, no question, unless Uni wants it. And that is going to be impaled. Does land on Official Hine. Troublemaker and a basic attack. Does do a lot of burst, but Official Hine into the fray over the wall. And they're going to back off. Renegades slightly ahead, but not that much. A nice wave pushing up for Uni. And Hunjagers could be in a bad position if Uni waits. If Uni waited for SNK, that would have been a dead Hunjagers, but it still might be with the Impale. Landing, Batiste coming through, but will he get the protected contract out? No, he's going to ordain Uni, now gets the protected contract out. And Uni just wants to farm this wave because it's quite big, and so Hunjagers not going to take too much poke. And I think both teams will back off from now.
Yep, and this is what I'm talking about. Scarf just put so much pressure in lane going up against a Black Feather, and we saw this in one of the Challenger series as well. The only way to just, try to counter a Black Feather or try to check a Black Feather in the early game is just to poke down this Black Feather Uni, taking a lot of poke.
He's going to fall. He is getting poked down. SNK leaving Aina die, trying to get some ambient gold with Shingy, which was his mistake, but Hunjager's gonna get bursted down by Reza, no question, one basic get kill. Anime Semi will be the next target, while SNK did back off under his turret. Impale does not quite connect, and Shingy gonna use that healing flask, lovely Githian wall, stunning up Official High and pushing back Anime Save Me. And the aggression, it didn't really work for Elite 8 at the moment, because yes, they've killed Black Feather, but he's on 33 CS to Hunjager's 18. So he's farming fine. He's farming actually really well considering that he died. Now Scarf is going to be a bit of trouble. Shingy going to secure that one, no question. Reza secures almost everything early game except for McCrawl, and Hunjager's will get a nice wave to farm up. But yeah, I think SNK leaving Uni alone. Thought Uni would be okay, but Uni was not quite. And going to get back with Shingy, try and push this gold lead in their favour.
Yep, they are sitting currently at 9.2k gold over to the side of Elite 8, sitting at 8.4, 8.6. Yeah, there you have it. So, the goal difference is not much. Just honestly, 4 minutes in, about a 1k, very good gold lead for the side of RNG, but it will not amount to much. Now, Anime Save Me getting impaled, getting hit by the impaled, Chingy as well, landing the Scorcher, Scorcher into the basic attack. As well, so now what Renegades really want to do is just try to put pressure against Hanjager. As you mentioned earlier on, Hanjager, although putting a lot of pressure in that of lane, but it's not CSing very, very well. Now catching up in terms of CS, sitting at 40 over to Uni at 46. Not much of difference now. I mean, only 6 CS, but all in all, the first kill for the first blood going for Hanjager definitely did make up for that.
Yeah, but also you got to notice that Official Hein is 10 CS behind Shingy in the jungle, so it's about 15 lead that Renegades have given themselves, which is why they are ahead in gold despite the first blood, and they've also shared much more ambient gold together in the jungle, and that's going to be impaled onto the turret, not quite the intended target, and SNK going to stay inside that ordained. That's going to be a jump away from Official Hein into the fray, very defensive, and now Uni is tanking turret. He's going to rose offensive through as many members as he can. Renegades not going to want to take a fight under turrets. They secure the tree, and Shingy's going to wait, and a jump over the wall for Official Heim. Scorcher comes through, Troublemaker, and that's another one Detonator back over the wall. Shingy being defensive, he knows the MVP is coming for him, so going to back away. That ultimate on such a short cooldown at level 1, it's on about a 40-second cooldown, which compared to something like Arden's Gauntlet on like a 90-second cooldown is really means you can use it quite freely as Shingy's doing, because he knows once he gets his rotation, comes back to fight, his ult will be up again.
Yep, and the only issue I see with Reza, it's the energy consumption coming through whenever you do play Reza. Half the time we do see very aggressive Rezas going in, but what is stopping them is not the damage coming through from the opposing team, but it's more so of the lack of energy just continue in that team fight. And it's quite weird to me, because usually when any heroes that really needs that energy to just sustain for a very long time in team fights have a clockwork in their build somewhere. But then as for Reza, you don't quite see that anyway.
Yeah, you might see a clockwork Reza. We're going to have to wait to find out what Shingy does go for. And the energy problems do normally happen once you picked up Aftershock into Dragon's Eye or Aftershock into Broken Myth. And then before you get the clockwork, you're really out of energy. Shingy over the wall with the Troublemaker, and Anime Save Me really loves the scout trap in that position that Black Feather just popped. There's been tons there already. Reza now going for the backs. This is so risky because Sentry is going to be there. He's going to have to use the ultimate to try and run away. And no, Shingy's going to go in. Get him onto Hunjager's with the Scorcher basic attack. Shingy's going to go very low, but then Netherform Detonator dodging damage. He was founted. He's going to get healed up. Official Hein is now red mist, but they just run away from him. Reza gets the kill with that Aftershock proc. So much burst on this Shingy. Renegades, that is exactly how they fight. They just dive on Scarf and then make it a 3v2, in which case Official Hein's going to go down afterwards.
That was quite a clear bait coming through from Chingy, just taking aggro from the minion, from the Crystal Sentry, and then afterwards just I don't know, that to me was a clear bait. But of course it can only work through very, very good communication, but now Uni is very, very low, SNK as well.
Uni could be in trouble. SNK is going to be okay under his turret. Shingy's now trying to defend their own tier 1. after Renegades were just able to push Elite 8 down to 0. Shingy will be able to secure that Treant. Official Hind is spotted by a scout trap, and now Scarf trying to push onto the turret, but Uni does block the Spitfire, which means that Goop is not on the turret. Turret may be able to survive because of that heroic play by Uni. SNK going to block the next Spitfire. The Renegades is poking them down, but they are trying to defend the turret. Uni going to dodge that one, so it hits on the turret now. Official Hind going to go in fountain used by SNK, keeping them alive. And Rona going to try and jump in on the turret. She's red misting. 1 kill for the Rona. Turret's going to go down, 2 kills. 1 goes onto Scarf, and that is a disaster for Renegades. They should have left the turret. They would have been okay. And in the end, they lose 2 kills, a turret and a gold mine.
Yep, they should have just left the turret like you mentioned, but they just want to save it for the oddest reason ever. I mean, all of them were very, very low. Now Chingy in a 1v1 against Anime Save Me.
Shingy trying to steal that gold mine away, but Anime Save Me making sure that's not going to happen. The Ordained keeping Shingy in one position. I really hope Shingy goes for Broken Myth next item. It's almost always better than Dragon's Eye on Reza, just because you're all about burst, you're not about sustain. But no, he's gone for the Dragon's Eye. I don't like that on Reza, because even though Renegades doesn't have any defense, if at level 12 he gets an infusion, a Broken Myth would just do more damage until Dragon's Eye gets about 7 stacks. And that's never going to happen on Reza against a Scarf, because your win condition is burst Scarf down as quickly as possible. Then 3v2 you're going to kill Rona. So there's no need for that full Dragon's Eye. You just get the Pierce, try and burst through that. So now Shingy has to build towards probably a Clockwork, or else, as we've said before, he's going to run out of energy on this Reza.
Yep, he will be running out of energy if he is just, counting and relying. Oh, maybe a fight will be breaking out.
Yep, SNK does not land the Impale, but Atlas lands onto Reza. That's not going to be blocked. A lovely fear was not blocked time, but Reza is now no longer Atlas, but Blackfeather gets it with the Fate of Heart. Official Hind going to go down next, and Hunjagas is the last man standing. What are Renegades going to do? They're not going to dive it. He's behind 2 turrets, so Shingy's just going to focus this tier 2 turret down. And Renegades look like they'll be able to siege it pretty successfully. Scarf trying to stop that with a Goop. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to do much. Renegades happily get the tier 2 turret and back away. Uni doing quite well there to focus the Batiste first this time, and then going on to Rona.
Yep, now Uni already having that breaking point can easily just build stacks, whereas Official Hind, because placed in the jungle, not as much gold, and also because Official Hind generally just sitting at 24 CS and to death hasn't quite been able to secure a lot for himself on that Rona. Thus that breaking point will come slower as compared to Uni. Official Hind at this point really has to rethink his strats jumping in, because it's quite obvious. You have got an Ordain, you jump in into the fray, and it's not helping you at all. The only reason the side of Elite 8 could have just taken 2 kills for themselves while they're pushing the turret is because RNG just refused to back off. So that is one mistake that the side of Elite 8 capitalized on, but maybe it's just not enough, because in a full-fledged team fight, they are just not putting out as much damage as compared to RNG.
Yeah, Official Hind really needs that breaking point to try and stack up. Blackfeather's already got his, so Uni's going to be building up way more damage. He is infused, and that is Impale over the wall, not quite going to connect. And now Renegades looking to try and push SNK, just waiting for that Impale to be back up. And Scarf doing some nice poke onto Renegade actually. Official Hind is waiting for the time to jump in. He's got a full Aegis. Reza, with no Pierce at all, is not going to be doing anything onto Official Hind. Thingy secures the Treant away, and now Elite 8, what's the play? Are they going to wait? They're going to just let the Sentry fall probably if Renegades decide to take it, but Renegades don't want to take it. They get it down to about 2/3 health, and now they're backing off back to the gold mine. If Renegades need to fight, then they should take a fight around gold mine, force Elite 8 to come to them. Blackfeather re-infusing, Shingy going to pop one as well, and now they start the gold mine. As I said, yeah, they can get this without any contest, because Elite 8 are just a little bit behind, so they're a bit scared to fight, especially with a Rona that hasn't got breaking point. They're just in such a tough position.
They just have to turtle up and try the best just to farm up, especially Hunjagas on that Scarf. He is sitting relatively well for himself at 112 CS, but he needs more items than what he has currently. So that Flask probably built into a Dragon's Eye, if not then a Frostman is extra, or even just a Clockwork for that 2-second Spitfire and Goop combination, and that way you can spread out so much more damage currently, because what Hunjagas is going for is 90% shield pairs on that ultimate, on that Dragon's Breath of his. but at this point, he's just unable to just stay in the fight for long enough. If he go and channel the Dragon's Breath, he will be burst down immediately by Chingy, who can just jump into Nether Form Detonator, if not then Uni as well. Although we do see a very peculiar target lock coming through from Uni, just going for the front liner first, trying to build as much breaking point stacks, and then jumping onto Handjäger, if not then official Hein afterwards. So Handjäger maybe will have a chance to try to proc those.
And may save me, gonna get Githian Wall twice. He's gonna have to run away using the Atlas. Fist and Shade, lovely. Not Crucible, not used by SNK, but that is gonna be black for the kill of the piece. Next target is official Hein, and once again that is the time for Renegade. They go Batiste first, then we'll kill Rona, and now Scarf tracking out the Dragon's Breath. She's got nothing, no Dragon's Eye, is not going to be stacking up, and Hinjager's forced to run away with that ultimate, and Shingy's just like, right guys, come on, I'm taking the turret, let's run away. And they do manage to get out of turret aggro. Now they're going to focus back on turret Uni, taking a bit of damage, but I'm sure Renegades will get this without any question. Uni's going to run away, and Jaegers wants to get something, but he's just not able to. I said the win condition from Renegades earlier was focus Scarf, then focus Rona, but I guess focus Batiste, then focus Rona works just as well. If Batiste gets out of position, no need to dive too far into that launching and get a backbone for that Broken Myth, and then probably get a reflex block, because the Fist and Shade's been really annoying. No, he's gone for tier 2 boots instead. So he's trusting the Crucible from SNK, because the Fist and Shade has been really annoying in these fights, and if Rona is there with Red Mist with Breaking Point, then the Fist and Shade really could turn this fight around for Elite 8.
Yeah, but we haven't quite seen that coming through from Anime Save Me. He has been timing his fearsome shape, but very, very defensively, not in a way where, Anime Save Me is trying to reposition or outposition the entirety of RNG, because half the time, before he can even use that fearsome shape, he is already bursted down by 2 Githin Walls by SNK, followed by the damage from the entirety of RNG. So, I personally thought that Batiste would work decently well, forcing that Rose offensive coming through from Black Feather and stopping any dive whatsoever coming through from Reza, but it's just not working just yet. They really need to be, in charge, in the lead, for Batiste to have any sort of impact now, since, both Uni and Ching can just dive straight in. And as we saw just now, although Ordain was on Chingy, Chingy can just easily Nether Form Detonator in. There's
going to be boots going in onto Jaeger's double Githian Wall. You're going to get stunned up. And now Reza's the next. Reza is doing diving onto the next target, which will be Anime Save Me. He's going to go down to the Reza once again. Shingy wants to get a triple, but official Hein's back in the base, so that's not going to happen. Kraken will be the target. No, they're going to get the kill. They want to dive the base. They're going to get it. The ace for Renegades. And are they just going to finish the game? Yep. Who needs a Kraken? Impale misses the target, but it doesn't matter. Renegades look like they might take this game 1, but Scarf will rack up, so it's going to be close. They're going to take the turret. Scarf has now respawned. Going to try and make the plays, and Jaeger's still not selling that healing fast, not buying an infusion. He forgot to buy an infusion, and Jaeger's going to do that Dragon's Breath. He's going to get stunned out of it by the Githian Wall, and the Renegades take game 1.
Well, very well played coming through from Renegades, and as we mentioned, it probably won them the game in draft, and it's quite rarely you say this, that, games can be 100% of the time in draft, but it kind of applies for that match there. It was quite difficult for Elite 8 to fully execute the team comp. You have Batiste, yes, in the front line, but Batiste not the strongest roamer or captain at this point. Maybe Glaive would have worked slightly better, if not even a very wild throw out there. It would be that of Chan Walker, might just work slightly better as compared to that of Batiste. I know Elite 8, they have got this infatuation with Batiste, but it's not, that Batiste is the trump card that wins all games for you.
Yeah, I think the first pick on the Batiste was interesting. I don't really like the decision that they made, but they wanted it. They wanted to prioritize that as a captain. They couldn't flex it because they then picked Scarf straight away. So Elite 8 didn't decide to go, let's pick Batiste and Rona and maybe go a Crystal Batiste, maybe captain, depending on how the draft goes. They picked the Scarf straight away. So they gave away their hand. They forced themselves into a Captain Batiste, which isn't the strongest captain in this meta. Catherine's better, Grace is better, Lance is better. All of them were available to them, but they decided to first pick the Batiste instead, and Chernwalker, I agree, would have worked really well for the side of Elite 8, but they decided that they really want to pick Batiste. So I think in this next draft, they just won't prioritise that as much, And one thing I am worried about is if Elite 8 do go for the black for the first pick and Renegades just have their counter ready.
Yep, and we saw, or rather in yesterday's matches for Vainglory 8 EU, if I remember correctly, we saw also just did so well against the Black Feather. It was so difficult for Black Feather to breathe throughout the match itself. I forgot which team was that I saw that was played. Let me just remember. Let me just try to... never mind. We have to carry on with the broadcast. We have to carry on with the stream, so I'll not do the remembering thing. But honestly, the side of RNG probably have got a counter into this Black Feather now. So, but I don't think they'll want to let this Black Feather through anyways.
Yeah, they can obviously ban it away if Renegades decide that they don't want to try and go up against Black Feather. Maybe they don't want to do the Rona, they don't want to do something like that in the lane. Then obviously they have the ban, they're letting through Rhyme, and Rhyme is quite a good pick, but wasn't picked at all in this draft despite all the melees. There was 3 melee characters on the fold in carry positions and only Scarf left open. So instead of picking up the Rhyme, both teams decided to let it through, which is interesting. I'm surprised that Rhyme hasn't been picked more because he is really strong and there aren't that many counters, especially with a meta that seems to be pushing towards melee heroes.
Yep, and I know draft is ready, so Minimizer, please do the honors.
Without further ado, let's head on into the draft.
So coming into this draft, we will be seeing Elite 8 on the blue side and Renegades on that red side. Elite 8, very quick hands on that band of theirs, immediately removing Lance from the fold, from the hero roster. And as mentioned earlier on, Renegades will not want to deal with this Black Feather whatsoever, banning him out. And of course, true to Southeast Asian spirit, we have the Arden first pick.
Yeah, so obviously banning Black Feather does leave Arden open, but once again, Lyra was banned away in the first match, picked up this game for Renegades. They have so much sustain with that. They can decide to go for a poke comp or for a dive comp. Arden and Lyra both allow your compositions to go in many different ways. Lyra tends to work much better with a poke comp because she can heal up and repoke, whereas Arden does tend to work a lot better with a dive comp because of that double gauntlet. But obviously they can work both ways. Kestrel ban is interesting from Renegades. It wasn't prioritised in the last game, maybe because Black Feather was available. Now without Black Feather, they don't feel comfortable playing against Kestrel. And a Saw ban from Elite 8. That's not a troll. Saw is good this patch. He is meta, he is strong and picked up quite a lot, especially with someone like Lyra. That early game pressure in lane is so hard to face against that Elite 8 said they don't want to do it. I'd expect a Vox pick from Renegades here. Vox is really good against Lyra, and so they want to pick up for themselves with Kestrel and Saw off the table, as well as Black Feather. Vox is looking in a really good position if they pick that up for themselves now.
Yep, and I mean, it's quite telling to pick up a Lyra, ban out Castro. There's a very high probability that you really want to go for that. So, but as you mentioned, and must agree with you, Vox is the next best pick coming through for the side of Renegades. They are definitely taking their time to think about this last pick. If not, then, you know, I mean, Vox is a strong pick, but they will just leave it open, immediately just locking in Rhyme for their first pick after the second phase of bans. As for the side of Elite 8, they can quite easily try their best as to counter Rhyme, just have a kite comp. I don't know. I personally don't know, because Elite 8 now, right? They just seem so out of the meta. I mean, based on what they actually played in the first phase of first game itself, they just seem so out of the meta. It'll not be surprising to me if they just go in with that Sky and Vox pickup. It is the most natural pickup for themselves now. The Vox and Sky just try to kite out this right.
Yeah, obviously Vox really good against Rhyme, really good against Lyra. Almost guaranteed mortal wounds because Vox loves Poison Shiv in his build. So that makes sense for Elite 8 to pick it up. And Sky could work really well against Rhyme. They have a couple of other ranged options. Scarf is not a bad pick this time because they're not against the Black Feather, not against Reza. And so I wouldn't mind that. They could also go Celeste. I don't think Celeste and Scarf are that good. So maybe something like a Samuel could work against this Rhyme to try and guide him. This is if they don't want to go Sky, because Sky is really good against Rhyme. Just run away from him, you should be fine. But they also have the Crawl available. Crawl could work to counter Rhyme if they go for the double weapon comp. We've seen Vox Crawl work, but they're going Vox Reza. The reason why they picked that Reza is because they know the last pick for Renegades is going to be a weapon carry. there's not many left that are on the tools. Ringo, Gwen, and Jewel are what springs to mind, but Weapon Idris could work as well. And so Reza is designed to try and execute the weapon carry that they're pretty sure Renegades are going to pick. Renegades could throw this off by picking Rona, but that would be terrible against Vox. Vox, Sonic Zoom away from Rona, Red Mist, and you're in a bad position. So I think Jewel or Glaive would work well for Renegades as their last pick. We're going to see what they're going to go for. It's going to be a Weapon Petal in the lane. The Reza is really good against that, but Weapon Petal does do well against Vox.
Yep. Weapon Petal definitely do have a very strong early game going into Vox, but the moment Vox gets the Poison Shift, and when even Petal just get that Sorrow Blade, Vox will be better as compared to the Petal. And Petal, like I mentioned, like streams before, that she has a very weird power spike. She's very strong in the early game. She falls off early to mid game, and she becomes strong once again. But then as for Rhyme, he just scales so well throughout the game. So maybe the side of Renegades can look to put pressure, and especially going up against a Reza. Reza is just so mobile for a Rhyme. But as long as Rhyme can catch up, as we saw yesterday as well, Chingy on this Rhyme enjoys building two boots. I mean, Rhyme has 2 legs as well. So
2 feet, 2 boots. It's not a misclick. It's a purposeful buy. Get those journey boots and go into war treads as well.
Yeah, there you go. So Ryan can easily catch up onto this Reza, but in the early game, I personally think Reza can outburst this Rhyme as long as you dodge out those Winter Spires. Of course, the basic attacks cannot be dodged out, but your basic attack range is longer than that of Rhyme, so you can try to out-kite him and see what Elite 8 basically can do, because at this point in time, I'm really liking the draft coming through from Elite 8. It is more true to themselves. It is more in line with the meta.
Yeah, it really is a skill to try and kite basic attacks as a melee hero versus another melee hero. We're going to have to see if Official Hein can do it. On this Reza, he definitely can dodge those Winter Spires, and to be fair, anyone can beat Rhyme if you dodge his Winter Spires. It doesn't matter if you're melee, you're ranged. If he's not landing that, he's not getting anywhere near as much fortified health. He won't survive in the fight, and you'll be able to burst him even as someone like Reza. And so I think that it definitely Elite 8's comp can work really well. But Uni is comfortable on this Weapon Petal. Soul Blade Spike is quite nice, but it's really that first tornado trigger when you start seeing Weapon Petal come through as a power pick. And then once you get 2 or maybe even 3, it'd be interesting to see 3 tornado triggers. Generally they go for Tyrants as the last item. But I think, yeah, Uni definitely could be a menace to try and deal with. Once again, Hunyega is going to be really good against SNK.
Yep, but Han Jaeger in the early game would be able to just poke out Petal, especially since the resonance damage, the pulse as well, and the Sonic Soup, the double basic attack will definitely hurt Petal in the long run. But the Elder Trade once again will be secured by Renegades. And moving on from this Petal, I'm expecting Official Hein on this Chingy, wow, Official Hein on this Reza to just play more aggressively. I mean, going up against a Rhyme, it will be very, very difficult since Rhyme will be buying out and buying up anyways after every rotation. That is generally how Rhyme rotates. It is not like a Koshka where he'll just hold on to double crystal bit and try to snowball as hard as possible, because Rhyme knows that he's slow. He wants to go back. He wants to buy. He wants to just increase the amount of damage that he can do in that of the early game, least anybody tries to come in for an invade.
Yep, we might be seeing a bit of an invade from Rhyme. He is much quicker than Reza at clearing his jungle, but it looks like he's going to secure the fronts and go for the Elder Treant as opposed to trying to go into Reza's jungle. Uni farming the wave under turret. We're pretty successful in getting these minions. SNK forced to White Ball Walk, so that will not be up for a bit. Vox free to Sonic Zoom, and Uni's trying to poke out nice damage on that basic attack from Uni. And will he get this minion under turret? Yes, he will. So he's farming quite well, despite the pressure from Hunyaga's pet contract used. Official Hein now coming up to lane. I'm sure he was spotted. Yeah, Chingy knew that Official Hein was coming up, so that means Uni going to be backing off under his turret to try and farm up. And Elite 8 not going to be that aggressive against this Petal. She's going to face check that bush and be okay. I think, yeah, every single member's porting home. So what do you think about the build from Rhyme? Do you expect to see Shatterglass first, or maybe he's going to build into Eve of Harvest with that NG battery?
I'm just afraid it will be the Eve of Harvest. I hope it will be the Shatterglass into Journey, then Eve of Harvest. But it might just help out with the extra sustain, extra lifesteal that he can get going up against a Reza who is just so bursty. But hey, burst can only be countered by more burst, right? So that is what I'm expecting Chingy to go for. But probably would not, and he would just fall back into 2.8 meta, where Eve of Harvest will be prioritized. But now Chingy is putting so much pressure against Official Hein. Official Hein once again moving up into the lane. And we mentioned earlier on, we will be expecting quite a lot of aggression coming through from the side of Elite 8 because they have got this Reza, but it's not kind of paying off for them because they just can't quite find the target just yet, especially with SNK with those Imperial Sieges just able to kill Uni up.
Yep, Uni can do quite a bit of poke onto Renegades, but there's a Vanguard to keep him up. And yeah, Shingy's just not being in this lane aggressive focus. Now he is. Shingy's going to come to lane. Uni's going to go quite low. Renegades trying to run away, and Shingy's going to get boosted in by that Imperial Sigil. But Varden gets the punch. Blood for blood, securing the second kill. Shingy did manage to secure the first one onto Vox, so both laners are going to die, but Shingy is alive to push this wave up into lane. And yeah, it was interesting how Shingy decided to let Official Hein be the first one up to lane. It was always just farming up the jungle, and then once 4 minutes hit, he went up to lane through the enemy side as Official Hein did, but there was no vision. Every time Official Hein went up to lane, Uni knew, and Uni could just see it, back off, and nothing would happen. But when Shingy went up to lane, Vox had no idea. Vox was trying to be aggressive onto Uni, and so it was a perfect time for Renegades to try and fight that.
Yeah, but what I think Chingy would actually go for, just talking of builds alone, maybe will not be the Eve of Harvest. The Eve of Harvest, the energy battery there is probably for that early energy sustain. But the only way to counter, right, so moving away from Chingy, the only way to counter Weapon Battle is just try your bestest to put as much early game pressure as possible on Official Hein.
I'm going to go very low. Pedro's trying to jump in. Valkyrie comes down, does not quite get the stun, but will get the slow. Shingy's going to go low as well. Official Hein is still very low. Imperial Sigil is going to be popped by Lara, keeping Uni quite healthy. He's not got his Soul Blade yet. Renegades, though, not going for Poison Shift first item. I was expecting he didn't even talk about Vox's build because it seemed obvious, but it looks like he's going Breaking Point first. And we're going to find out what that is going to be, and he's not going to be anything. So he's just going to wait, which means he's waiting for Poison Shift most likely. So that is going to be nothing from Vox. He decided not to buy anything with 1,400 gold. That's an interesting decision. I was hoping he picked something so we could talk about it. But do you think he should go Breaking Point first, or do you prefer Poison Shift against this Lyra?
Well, I mean, we would think that the most sensible choice right now is just opting for that Poison Shift, just cause and inflict mortal wound on the enemies. That way, the healing from Lyra is just stun out cut by a third, and it will definitely benefit your entire team. But now Hanjäger sitting on close to 2k gold, but Official Hein.
Yeah. He hasn't bought anything. Official Hein going to go very low, and Hanjäger is going to do much in this fight. Renegades are going to win this fight without question. There is a Shatterglass on Rhyme and a Soul Blade on Petal with only an Aftershock on Reza, and he's now ported home. So Vox, 2,000 gold, he's just not going to do anything. This could be an easy turret. Renegades can see that Vox hasn't got a tier 3 item. That's why they're being so aggressive. And that tier 1 tower is just going to fall. Renegades is going to try and get some damage onto Uni. Rhyme gets the turret. Chill wins, does root up the Vox. That's going to be a death. No chance for the Fountain to save his life. He has got the Gauntlet if Official Hein decides to try and turn this around. Renegades went for Solar Blade first. That's why he was waiting, wasn't buying anything. He didn't have any slots because he bought a Book of Eulogies for sustaining lane and Swift and Blazing Salvo, to try and get that attack speed. And that Heavy Steel was building into Solar Blade, so it's a fine build decision from Renegades. I quite like Solar Blade first, but in this situation, it was a really bad idea because that means he didn't have a tier 3 when Petal and Rhyme both did, and so he lost the lane fight.
Yep, I think what Hanjäger is trying to achieve is trying to match Uni on that Petal stat for stat, damage for damage, and thus going for that Solar Blade. But what Hanjäger must understand as well coming into this match is that there is one thing you cannot fight a Petal with, and that is her range when she gets a level 8. Right, and she can just kite you from far away, and you have very similar attack range, attack distance as say a melee hero, right? I mean, Vox is one of those most melee range hero out there, and it's I personally do not quite like it. If you're a Ringo, I do understand if you want to
double flare comes up from Renegades. They know exactly where the going to get a stun. SNK is going to be healthy, but Uni's going quite low. He's going to get the damage though onto Vox. Netherform Detonator is not going to be enough for Official Hein. He's going to have to run away. Shingy can get that Imperial Sigil to try and boost him forwards towards the enemy. There's going to be a lovely portal just diving in. Shingy's not going to go through it. He might back away. And now Renegades going to take some jungle, try and push this wave up. Vox has respawned now. can't quite afford his breaking point second item. He's just not building a Shiv. But Vox is not going for Shiv against Lyra. He's sold his Book of Eulogies. This is really different from Renegades. As you said, he's not going to play against Renegades. He's just going to try and play against Uni, trying to beat him in a 1v1, maybe build up stacks on the Vime, and then just try and burst him if he can manage to get within range. So it's a very different build, but it might work out. We're going to have to wait and see. Renegades taking this gold mine, and there's going to be a fight around it. Bulwark used. Arden does not get it with a punch. Now Uni going to look to fight. Renegades needs to shop to get his breaking point, so they're going to back off, and now you can have a little chat, Luxuria.
Yeah, but this is just so difficult to try to match Uni stat for stat. As mentioned before, the hardest thing to do is trying to just get in range of Petal as another range hero, unless of course you're Baron, you know, you can shoot from a very, very far away, you can fire those grenades from a very far away. But then if you're a Vox, you have to be in melee, you know, distance to just get on top of Petal. And when you are at that distance, Bright Bolt comes out, Arden cannot save your dear life, and then you have Chingy just throwing and spewing out Winter Spires in your face. And it would just be so difficult for Hanjäger. I mean, just look at Hanjäger's KDA right now, 0-3-1. I'm not saying he has not been doing well. He's been doing well for himself, sitting at a 9 CS-ish, you know, 9 minutes in, not terrible for himself, but he just cannot find the execution that he needs. He cannot find, you know, the range, the distance that he needs, the perfect distance for himself to just separate himself from Chingy, Uni, and SNKEA on that Lyra. So it is just very difficult.
There's going to be the Gauntlet coming through, does stun up. Uni, Vox wait for it, does silence him as well, but he's going to get those basic connect from Dash to use, but the Fountain alive. To keep Uni alive, the target focus switches to Hunyeg. He's got 9 breaking point stacks. Will he get Uni with one more basic? Yes, he will, but Petal trades the kill, and now Shingy looking to push this tier 2 turret. SNK was really helpful with those sigils, and with the Fountain, pretty much saved Uni, make him be able to trade 2 for 1. And now Shingy's like, nope, I don't care about you, lad, and we're just going to bait you into not stalling the minion wave, and now we take the turret. Nice little emote, just to show off from Shingy. And Renegades take 2 turrets. They're about 5k gold ahead, so it's looking really good for them at the moment.
Well, definitely looking very, very well, sitting for themselves. 25 over to 20,000 for the side of Elite 8. And this is what I'm talking about. Uni was kiting for his dear life against his Vox, and the only reason is because Vox was stacking too much damage onto SNK and Chingy as well. So tons of breaking point stacks on Vox or Official High, maybe caught out now.
Yeah, Bulwark use, he's not able to run away. Petal gets the kill. So much money on this Petal. Swordblade double tornado already. Build a reflex block when he goes to shot, or maybe go for an infusion instead. Reza, I much like the build from Official High, even though they are behind. This Aftershock into Broken Myth does seem to be a lot better than Aftershock into Dragon's Eye. Renegades, what's the call? Are they going to go for the turret, or are they going to go for Sentry? Looks like they're trying to fight for a little bit. Now Renegades wants to push this in. Uni wants to push that wave as far as he can. Official High has now respawned. Will there be an engaged? Gauntlet in 3 seconds. Anime Saving is waiting, but Renegades going to back off. Probably going to start the Sentry up. No, they're going to bait. Shingy standing in the bush. You're going to get rooted. You're Bulwark. Fountain not going to be used. Not going to be enough to keep Official High alive. Atlas onto Anime Saving, not onto Hunyegers. He's going to be able to kite from the back line. But Renegades just going to be happy with 1 kill and back off towards the Sentry and the jungle. They could probably start Gold Mine as well. They wait for Official High to respawn, start the Gold Mine, bait a fight, take a fight, and then take the tier 3 turret and the Gold Mine. So it's looking really good for Renegades. Vox has now picked up the Poison Shiv. So he did sell his Book of Eulogies to get the breaking point. Now he's gone for Poison Shiv just because the healing's too much. I think if he's trying to get the breaking point build, he might as well just go for a couple of tornado triggers, maybe a Tyrant's Monocle, so that he can just try and outburst Petal. But going for this Poison Shiv, it makes sense. I would have liked to see it a little bit earlier though, now that he has decided to go for it.
Yep, I would think Vox would build Poison Shiv as the first item coming into this match, very simply because of this Lyra, but that wasn't quite the case. Hanjäger now trying to push his turret, burning down those minions with those basic attacks, but hitting the minions will not give you breaking point stacks because they're considered spawns, they're considered heroes. So, you know, all in all, they will just be forced to back off. But now Chingy will be mad by the entirety of Elite 8 and SNK as well, Uni rotating down, but will not be finding any members of Elite 8. So this issue still stands. Official High can dive in the backlines, try to take out Uni, but that, you know, that can't be done at all because you see constantly the positioning coming through from RNG is just at times so perfect. They just catch out Official Hind and then forcing it to one.
And the arcane passage is into the. What are you going to be in top? That's going to be. Because of the arcane passage, but Shingy now going to get a lot of work done. Uni is going low. That's a 1v1, and they trade their lives. Vox for the petal, and now that's another full detonator over the wall. He was spotted out by the basic attack from Lyra. They know where he went. Shingy going to try and do what he can. Shingy just with tier 1 crystal bar defense, able to easily 1v1 Renegades at this point. Official Hind at this point. And Uni and Renegades once again trading their lives, and that seems to be how these fights are going. If Uni can stay alive a little bit longer, maybe he needs weapon power defense as opposed to an Aegis, then he'll be able to kill Vox pretty simply. Vox now going for Atlas or Metal Jacket makes a lot of sense because all these fights are coming down to is who can kill who, Uni or Renegades, and if one of them stays alive, that team will win the fight. At the moment, both of them are dying instantly, so the fights are really stalling out into late game, which does benefit Renegades with this Lyra going to scale up with that healing. But SNK could be caught out by Official Hind, and Shingy's going to start to lane. Looks like they want to fight Renegades, looking to see what they can do. Corner not up for 20 seconds though, so Elite 8 are going to back off until that is available.
Yep, but what I saw earlier on was that Han Jaeger wasn't in a strict 1v1 with Uni. In fact, Han Jaeger was simply building stacks onto SNK and Shingy before turning his attention to Uni, but now the attention will be turned to this anchor turret, and RNG very comfortable and quickly taking this turret down.
Such a good rotation from Renegades. They knew that Anime Sabi wasn't wanting to fight. It was really obvious because Renegades showed their faces. Elite 8 just backed off as 3. They probably guessed, okay, Gauntlet's probably not available. So we're going to rotate, we're going to stop reporting home, and we're just going to push this turret. Now they're starting the gold mine, they'll be able to get it before Kraken spawns, because they have a petal, so much damage on that weapon petal. Renegades looking to ult it though, and he's going to wait, he's going to wait for it, and he's going to wait for it a bit late. Was looking to try and steal the gold mine away blind, so it's pretty tough. Kraken has now awakened petal, gone for the Tyrant's monocle. I love to see 3 tornado triggers on my weapon petal, it just looks funny, and so it does similar damage, so why not go for it? Now, I think, yeah, these fights, I agree that Vox is building up breaking point stacks before going into Petal, but he also wants to kill Petal, and if that happens, they win the fight. So obviously building up breaking point stacks might be the easy way to do it, but that is the end goal for Elite 8. Now Renegades looking to fight a passageway. He's going to go in, but it's not going to be a bulwark used. He's going to wait, and there's the Gauntlet going to come down, and that's Idris. Sorry, that's going to be Reza going down. It blocks on the Netherform destination, so Rhyme's going to get 1 kill. Petal survive, and that is going to be Petal alive, and that is going to be Renegades winning the fight. If Uni stays alive, Renegades win the fight, and they're just going to push for the win already. Though, sure, it's going to be a 50-minute game.
I mean, they have got the damage to push the win and push for the win, and the fact that the Ace minions is just pushing in their favor as well. It is a very, very easy game for the side of Renegades to just close out. And Official Hind. Very good team fight, a few very good plays coming through from Official Hind. But what happened half the time there in that match was him just getting caught out constantly before every team fight happened. And although Han Jaeger did his best to try to out-sustain, out-damage Uni by stacking the breaking point stacks on someone else before turning on to Uni, but the burst coming through from this Petal is just way too much for anyone from the side of Elite 8 to handle, and Shingy just being a very, very good frontliner.
Yeah, especially without any Metal Jacket and only 1 Atlas on Arden to try and slow that attack speed. There's no way you're carrying